Hello and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with a Disability Policy for All. Today we have the great fortune to be talking to Michael Morris, who is the Executive Director of the National Disability Institute, and today we'll be talking with him about financial aid. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Just wonderful to be on the show.
Okay. The first question is, can you briefly give us some background on the National Disability Institute and what role your mission plays in helping people with disabilities?
Yeah, wonderful question. Let me give you a little bit of background on the National Disability Institute. It was over 11 years ago as I worked on different policy issues related to people with disabilities. I kept hitting sort of a wall about the same issue. And that issue, which wasn't being talked much about, was that too many people with disabilities live at or below poverty level. And when you live in poverty, you really don't have as many choices in terms of self-directed or self-determined lives. We actually know that people with disabilities are 2 to 3 times more likely to be living in poverty than people without disabilities. And we also know that for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, that number goes significantly higher. And that number could be as high as 8 out of 10 people with intellectual or developmental disabilities are living in poverty. And why is that? Well, the number one reason is the low employment rate. But other reasons are that when we have spent so much time focused on civil rights or focused on access to health care, housing, employment, other issues, we haven't really looked at the root issue. And the root issue is that many of our public benefits, whether that's access to health care or that's a cash payment under Social Security, those payments come with a very strict sentence of poverty. It doesn't allow an individual to accumulate assets. They're forced to limit the amount of money that they may earn because they can't really put it aside, whether it's for a rainy day or it's a specific goal someday to live on their own in terms of housing or purchase transportation or purchase technology. Our Social Security rules, our Medicaid rules, our housing assistance rules all say if you want the public benefit, you're going to have to stay poor. You're going to have to stay really poor. So I started National Disability Institute to really fight those rules, see what we could do about changing those rules, and also get the disability community across the many organizations that support people with disabilities to take to heart that we all need to be focused on poverty reduction. That if we can find and help people really design personal pathways to a better economic future, to financial stability, to thinking about work, to thinking about saving, to thinking about building assets, and having a long-range goals and plans, then really everyone's quality of life is going to change. So it's about policy change, but it's also about changing expectations. And that's why we created the National Disability Institute.
Thank you. This month is Financial Capability Month. Why should this be important to people with disabilities?
This is a great question again, Liz. Is when I created National Disability Institute, it wasn't just about poverty reduction and the problems of asset limits related to being able to accept different types of public benefits. We also realized from conversations with people with disabilities and family members across the country that our education system, as well as different programs, social and human service delivery systems, whether it's Medicaid and a home and community-based waiver, or it's vocational rehabilitation, or it's our workforce development system, we weren't focused on teaching people basic information, basic knowledge and skills to actually better manage the money that they are getting. Whether it's a Social Security check or it's a paycheck or both. We had done very little to teach people with disabilities about really some basic decision making, creating a budget, really managing debt, understanding credit. And so what's wonderful about every year in April, I think every month has a different designation as a special month, but April is Financial Capability Month. So for the disability community, it's really an opportunity, whether it's an individual with a disability or it's organizations providing support or advocacy in support of people with disabilities. It's an opportunity to think about what can we do to bring financial education into what we do and help support people with disabilities to make better informed financial decisions. There are many people with disabilities who now, through Medicaid, get a person-centered budget, and they're in more control of an individual budget. But we haven't spent the effort to really help that individual make good decisions about money. So Financial Capability Month is a time that we can focus, put the lens on what are we doing to really help a person make more informed financial decisions, be more financially capable, which is going to help an individual really move from a position of instability to a position of financial stability. And that is more than just employment. That's also about being very intentional about making decisions. I need to save. I want to set financial goals. What is it I'm dreaming about that I wish I had in my life? And financial capability, making those better decisions might help me get there.
Thank you. I understand that the National Disability Institute does work around financial literacy benefit policies like the ABLE and the WIOA, which is the Work Enforcement Opportunity Act. How does that all work?
How does that all come together? Well, we, like your own organization and many, many other organizations in the disability community, we spent almost 10 years trying to get Congress to pass the Achieving a Better Life Experience Act, or what we call ABLE. ABLE is extraordinary because it does several things. First, for many people, it means that contributions that are going to go into an ABLE account, the money can be later taken out with no income made being taxed. It's tax-free. But that's not the real, I think, strength of ABLE. The real strength of ABLE gets back to what I was talking about a few minutes ago. And that is an individual with a disability who's accepting different types of federal public benefits, Social Security, Medicaid, housing assistance, or food assistance. As I said, they're limited by asset limits to stay eligible. The ABLE account will not be counted in a way that will in any way reduce those federal public benefits or take away those federal public benefits. So what's key here is that financial literacy comes into play, because the beneficiary of an ABLE account is also the account owner. That means that person with a disability comes right back to these same issues. Maybe we haven't provided training or education to help that individual make good decisions about the money that's going to come out of that ABLE account for different needs: education, housing, technology, employment assistance. So it's really an opportunity, and April as Financial Capability Month gives us an opportunity to pause and focus. Why aren't we doing more in terms of financial education for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities? In the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, there's also some new language about offering people the benefit of financial education and building their financial literacy skills. So this April, 2016, is really going to see some new opportunities where we really all need to do more to help people with disabilities make better financial decisions, be able to better manage money, understand debt and credit, really put together a savings plan, and think long-term about a better economic future.
Thank you. Is there anything else that I missed or that you would like to talk about financial literacy?
Yes, I'm glad you asked me that one additional question. We see something starting in the state of Florida, and we hope it's the first of many states, and an idea that will be pushed across the country. We hope that university centers for excellence, developmental disability councils at a state level, the protection and advocacy system, and many other disability organizations get behind this idea. Florida is the first state to put forward legislation that takes very seriously we need to do more in financial education for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Their passing legislation gives us a kind of roadmap, or gives us a template, a first example. I hope this is something that is taken up by states all across the country, because we can't accept as status quo or given that people with disabilities are going to stay poor. The ABLE account is going to change those asset limits, which means people can get the benefit of Social Security and Medicaid and other federal public benefits and still have an ABLE account, still grow resources, which means it's a powerful opportunity to dream, to think about a better quality of life. I think this is something that in Florida is going to lead the nation, but we need to make sure that other states pick up on this example. So Financial Capability Month, I hope, shines a spotlight for all of us. We all can learn more about managing money, people with and without disabilities. Parents and family members can help, siblings and sons and daughters. All of us, self-advocates, need to take very seriously. This is not an issue to be ignored. People with disabilities can manage money. They may need a little bit of extra support. And this is an opportunity in April with Financial Capability Month for an individual with a disability, a family with a member with a disability, an organization supporting people with disabilities, a state, local, or even at a federal agency to say, okay, it's Financial Capability Month. What can we do to make this a reality so that people have the critical knowledge and skills to manage their own money? Not just turn it over to a guardian, not just turn it over to a representative payee under Social Security. Here's an opportunity for people to take very seriously, I think, the next stage of self-determination, where people have the knowledge, have the skills, and can do better with a circle of support, make good decisions, and have a better quality of life.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz, for giving me the opportunity to talk about National Disability Institute and the importance of financial education and financial capability.
And for someone that doesn't really understand about financial issues, and my family helps me personally, and my husband, I'm so excited about this month. I haven't ever heard of it, so thank you.
Thank you.
And if you have any more questions about this or any other policy issues, please go to the AGCG webpage and look for this week's In Brief. And if you have any questions about this issue about Tuesdays with Liz, please leave them in the space below. Thank you and have a nice day. Thanks,
Thank you,
Michael.
Liz.
Bye.
Bye-bye.